Got blood in the kitchen, blood down this hall. We got one down, shell casing on the floor.
God. You got just a second? I wanted to show you something. We got something that came up in the case.
You said, hopefully, he didn't tell him how. What do you mean?
In other words, us, the police.
Okay.
And you said, I hope he doesn't tell them how.
I don't remember, man. No, that's the recording right there. That means you know how Laura was killed. No, sir, I do not know how Laura was killed.
At this moment, this man realizes cops had uncovered his secret, and there was no turning back. His life was about to be shattered forever.
It's pointing right back to you and Jesus and James.
Because if y'all find out I knew, don't lie for him. I'm not lying for him.
We just needed really that one person to finally break.
I want you to know that we're going to find out what happened.
We're out 911. Say this emergency.
Yeah, I just got up and I went to the kitchen and I saw blood. She ran on the kitchen floor.
Okay. She's not moving?
I saw.
Okay. What is your name?
My name's Brian.
Okay, hold on just a minute. Let me get you some help going, okay?
Following this 911 call, police promptly arrived at Rolla, Texas on November 13th, 2015, after the ambulance and paramedics withdrew upon discovering a bullet casing near the body.
Wound to the head, copious amounts of blood.
God. Problems! Stay on me, Drew. Clear. Got blood in the kitchen, blood down this hall. We got one down, shell casing on the floor. Purse being right there next to her. I'm wondering if she just got here.
The news spread across the community like wildfire.
Now to our other breaking news in Rowlett, where police are trying to figure out what led to a woman's death inside her home.
Right now, police only calling it a death investigation and could not go into many details surrounding the nature of the death or who it is.
The body found at the scene was later confirmed to be 37-year-old Laura Grillo. 20 minutes after the police arrived at the crime scene, Laura's fiancé, 40-year-old John Macris, showed up there as well. Having been together for 7 years, the couple was just a week away from their wedding. They had a 4-year-old child and had a shared history of volunteering with the local police department. The police engaged John in a brief conversation to gather more insights.
Listen to me. It looks like a gunshot wound. That is all I can tell you. You have cameras on the house? Yes. Do they record?
They used to. I don't know if they do.
Okay.
John seemed clearly heartbroken and panicked, so police decided to investigate the crime scene further. Inside, they found overturned drawers in the master bedroom and an open safe, suggesting a possible burglary.
There were things inside the scene that just didn't look right. We did not find any forced entry to the residence at all, and the rest of the home appeared to be untouched. This did not appear to us to be a random attack. Somebody wanted her dead.
The investigation took its first pivotal turn when police decided to take a statement from Laura's brother, Brian O'Miller, the man who had made the 911 call and lived with her. He revealed a shocking discovery. He'd woken up to find her body face down in the kitchen. Brian explained that he hadn't heard the gunshot, a detail that raised suspicion at first. However, he clarified that he was hearing impaired, a fact police confirmed, clearing him as a suspect. With the harrowing statistic that 2 out of 5 female murder victims are killed by an intimate partner, the police shifted their focus to John Macris for a critical interview. Their primary goal was to verify John's whereabouts on the morning of the murder, aiming to piece together his movements and resolve any doubts about his involvement.
Just going through with the police officers and detectives at the scene. I'm sorry for your loss. I want you to know that we're going to find out what happened.
Initially, John seemed to be completely shattered by what had happened, but after a while, he managed to compose himself and started answering.
What would be the motive for someone to come in the house, attack Laura? No idea. Somebody chose to come in that house. But why? That's what we're going to find out. Did Laura receive any bad news? Rosie? No, to my knowledge. Okay, everything was good. I understand y'all know a wedding coming up. Yes, you're wearing a week. In a week, she was a love couple because of the wedding. She was really exposed to me.
John stated that he'd left that morning to meet 2 workers from his construction business in North Dallas. However, one peculiar detail raised eyebrows. John promptly began writing a statement upon the police's arrival. Under such tragic circumstances, it's common for individuals to need time to collect themselves before taking such actions. Despite this unusual behavior, the police cleared John as a suspect during this interview. Just when the case seemed to be heading in no direction, an unexpected twist sent it spiraling in another. On November 14, 2015, John Macris arrived at the police department unannounced, insisting on speaking with the investigators.
Everybody's asking me what's going on. My answer is I don't know. I still don't know. I need you guys to give answers. I need answers. Okay? I need to know what is going on. What is your speculations? What?
He seemed really desperate to get some answers.
I will
I need to know.
answer what I can and what I can tell you at this point.
My biggest concern right now is the kids. How am I going to talk to them? My plan was to bring the kids to the house.
After you get it all cleaned up?
Yes, of course.
Sure.
Police noticed something strange during John's visit. He didn't seem very upset about his fiancée's death. His calm reaction made them start to question him more closely.
He's more concerned about wanting to clean everything up and move on with his life.
And he's not talking about any security measures that he's going to implement after he's returning to the murder scene with not only his own life, but also the kids.
The investigation took an unexpected turn when one of Laura's friends revealed something shocking.
Laura's fiancé, John, was acting strange from the get-go. Just a few days after Laura was killed, John asked me, he's like, I have a feeling that the Rowlett Police Department is going to try to pin this on me and take the kids. I knew something was wrong.
To make things more complicated, on November 16th, just 3 days after Laura's death, John told the police that he would no longer speak to them without his attorney present. This sudden shift raised even more suspicion and prompted detectives to double-check his alibi.
We were able to gather video surveillance footage from a couple of home improvement stores that John told us he went to that morning in Dallas, which proved that he was actually there at the time that Laura was killed. So we knew that he wasn't responsible for this himself, but we couldn't say at that point that he didn't have some involvement in setting this up.
The police didn't leave empty-handed. John had been truthful about meeting 2 construction workers after the incident. They were James Villeda and Emmanuel Jesus Trevino. Jesus was John's best friend and right-hand man, someone he'd known for years. However, James had only been working for the company for 3 weeks and barely knew John. On November 17th, detectives called James and Jesus in for formal interviews.
And he texted me, don't be late, whatever.
Don't be late to
8 o'clock. We were going to meet up at Home Depot.
Which one?
In Dallas.
What happened then?
Just started holding doors.
Okay.
He pulled up and
He being
John.
Okay.
John showed up and everything. We started working. Yeah.
Okay.
Both men were upfront and cooperative, claiming they had no knowledge of the crime.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you straight.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you had any suspicions or if you had any personal knowledge that John was responsible for Laura losing her life, would you tell us?
Yeah. Because if y'all find out I knew.
Detectives kept asking questions that might lead them to a confession.
I mean, if that's what y'all wondering, if he could have done it, I don't see it him doing it. He's an ass. I don't see it like that.
Right.
You know, I mean, since it happened, just like y'all been doing, you know, is it the husband? Is it the brother? Is it, you know what I'm saying? Who is it? Let's, I've been doing the same thing.
Exactly. You know, and that's the same thing we do. And you kind of brought it up, you know, because you said, I don't think he did it. He's an ass. I don't think
I'm an ass. That's why we get along. Okay.
However, as the interrogation unfolded, something unsettling emerged. Jesus, despite the gravity of the situation, was laughing and joking. This bizarre behavior raised alarms. How could someone who had known Laura for years and whose boss's fiancé was now dead react with such indifference? It was a red flag, and detectives knew they were on the verge of uncovering something dark. As detectives dug deeper, a bombshell was uncovered that would change the course of the investigation. On November 18th, due to Jesus' increasingly suspicious behavior, the police decided to track his movements using GPS data from his phone on the morning of Laura's death. Jesus had insisted during his interview that he'd stayed in Dallas the entire time, but the data told a different story. What they found next was a game changer. His phone had pinged off a tower in Rowlett, just a mile from Laura's house, at the precise time the police believed she was murdered. This was just the tip of the iceberg. There was much more the police were yet to uncover. Cops tried to investigate Laura and John's personal lives, uncovering something beyond terrifying than they'd ever expected. They found out Laura had a troubled relationship with John.
He was mean, he yelled, he had a terrible temper, he was possessive. It was a little surprising when she accepted his proposal. There were actually several times when Laura was thinking about leaving John.
As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that things were about to take a dark turn. Further investigation revealed that John was not only trying to get out of his relationship with Laura, but was also seeking sole custody of their daughter. To gain more insight into the connection between John and Jesus, detectives decided to bring James back in for questioning. They were ready to confront James with a shocking revelation. They knew Jesus was lying.
There's some things that just don't add up.
Hope I can help you as much as I can.
I hope so too. And the first point I want to figure out is, you said this twice, that Manuel went to your house about 8:30, 8:45, but I've got information that puts Manuel somewhere else.
Just be honest.
That time frame. Not at your place.
He was at my place.
I have proof that he was not at your place that early.
That's what time he was at my place.
I'm telling you, I've analyzed everything. He was not there.
At that moment, James could sense that something was wrong. As the police adopted a more confrontational approach, his demeanor shifted noticeably, and it was evident the pressure was starting to get to him.
You've known him for 15 years, and this is what I want. Sometimes our friends will put us in a difficult situation. Don't lie for him. If you,
I'm not
I
lying
want
for
the
him.
truth. You know, it's serious business, dude.
I'm not
If
lying
you know
for him.
something, even if you suspect something, lay it out there.
Police then brought out another weapon in their arsenal, making things even more intimidating for James.
If we gave you a polygraph today and I asked you, do you have knowledge or did you participate in the taking of the life of Laura? Yes or no? What would your answer?
No.
Knowledge.
What do you think?
No.
Do you have knowledge of it?
No.
No one has mentioned it to you.
No.
What do you think the test will show?
I'm coming to tell you the truth.
But surprisingly, that didn't seem to shake him. Finally, the police let James go, but classified him as exhibiting weak denial. Afterward, they drove him back to the Dallas motel where he was staying, and he gave them permission to search his room. What they found there, however, was something they weren't prepared for.
He gave us consent to search. We did recover a usable amount of marijuana and a backpack that was underneath his bed.
Whose bag is this?
This is that backpack's all his.
All his?
I noticed a change in his demeanor when I pulled out the backpack. I opened it up. It had latex gloves in there. It had 2 brand new phones in there. It was a little bit odd for me.
With this new discovery, the dots were starting to be connected. On December 7th, the police learned that Jesus had gone on the run, and fearing James might do the same, they decided to charge him with possession of marijuana found in his hotel room and placed him behind bars. On December 17th, the police decided to bring James in for another round of questioning, hoping to break him down and gather more information about Laura's death.
We briefly spoken to RJ on Texas Rangers.
This interview was important as it determined whether new doors had opened or if it was just another setback.
Never seen the bad real Texas Ranger before. Still on TV.
Well, he's a real deal.
James's admiration for the Texas Rangers seemed like it would soon prove to be a turning point in this investigation.
I'm not interested in games at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We're way too far into this, and this is not something that you want to get in the middle of by trying to cover for anybody.
I know. I've been trying to go over it more and more in case y'all come to talk to me, because I want to help out as much as I can.
But even after all the efforts, the police ended up with nothing. On January 19th, 2016, detectives decided to track Jesus again and obtained a search warrant for the latest data on his cell phone. What they discovered was startling. There was a series of recorded calls between Jesus and John on the very day James was being interviewed by the detectives. The content of these calls was shocking, revealing details that would change the course of the investigation forever.
They still haven't released it, James. No, I mean, No, I hope not. He was with me the whole time.
It became clear that the connection to Laura's murder was far deeper than anyone had initially suspected. By February 16th, with all the gathered evidence, police had finally managed to directly link John to Laura's murder. However, he was no longer cooperating. Fearing that his continued silence would complicate the investigation, the police decided to confront him in a parking lot.
You got just a second? I wanted to show you something. We got something that came up in the case. Do I need my lawyer?
The moment John asked for a lawyer, the suspicion deepened. Why would he continue to request legal representation if he had nothing to hide? He was now considered an active suspect. To put further pressure on him, police played the call recording between him and Jesus, hoping it would lead him to cracking.
Listen to it. Listen. You said hopefully he didn't tell him how. What do you mean?
In other words, us, the police, because we were interviewing James.
Okay.
And you said, I hope he doesn't tell them how. And I know, because I was with him. In other words, James was with me.
I don't remember, man. No, that's the recording right there. That's you talking to Jesus. Okay. Well, that means you know how Laura was killed.
No, sir, I do not know how Laura was killed.
Okay, well, then why would you say that?
I don't remember how and why I had this conversation with him.
John was visibly nervous. The weight of the mounting evidence was evident, and it seemed like only a matter of time before the truth would come to light.
Did you look at everything that we have found out during this investigation? And I'm just being honest with you, okay? It's pointing right back to you and Jesus and James.
I don't know, guys.
I know, but you see how it looks?
I really have no idea. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Technically, I don't think that I should be talking to you guys right now because my lawyer told me, if the police wants to talk to you, I need to be present.
You're free to go. We're not detaining you. We're not handcuffing you. We just have some questions.
On April 5th, the police intensified their efforts, keeping a close watch on John while ramping up their search for Jesus, whom they believed had fled the state. Then something chilling came to light. Former roommates and an ex-girlfriend of Jesus, Lorena Rodriguez, revealed that he had been hired by John to kill Laura. These individuals confirmed that Jesus had offered them money to drive him to Rolla to carry out the murder, but they'd refused. With this bombshell, police were now convinced that James had likely driven Jesus to the scene, while Jesus was the one who had actually carried out the murder. As if this revelation wasn't enough, the police received a tip from another ex-girlfriend of Jesus named Janet Barron, saying Jesus was hiding out in Florida. They immediately passed this information to the United States Marshals Service, who acted quickly. It wasn't long before Jesus was arrested, bringing the long and complicated investigation closer to its conclusion.
All new at 10 o'clock, handcuffed in Florida. Take a good look at the photo. This is on a warrant out of Rowlett. U.S. Marshals arresting Jesus Trevino.
On April 15th, Jesus was booked and placed in jail, but the police still didn't have enough evidence to directly link John to Laura's murder. However, a crucial piece of the puzzle was about to fall into place, and when it did, it would change everything. On June 2nd, 2016, 6 months after Laura's murder, the police decided to interview James again, knowing he was the weak link in the case.
Hey, James. Jim Long with the Rangers. How you doing? Well, I know that you dealt with some guys, but I'm a little bit different than them because really all I do is homicide. My conviction rate, my solvency rate, 100%.
Hearing this from the detective, James's demeanor shifted instantly. His nervousness was evident in both his expression and body language. As James's nervousness grew, the detective seized the moment, hitting him with evidence that shattered his illusion, proving they weren't as clueless as he thought.
You know this young lady? Guess who she dated? Guess who? Would it surprise you to know that this young lady told us that Jesus talked to her about how he was going to get paid to commit a murder? He was going to kill his boss's wife. You know this joker? He approaches him and offers him some money to drive a car so he can do what? Kill his boss's wife. So you think those two stories are legitimate?
James realized the police had enough evidence, and he was starting to crack. It was clear he couldn't hold on to his secret much longer. Sensing this, the detectives took a stricter, more direct approach.
You don't have to get caught up in this deal. Why should you be worried? Because capital murder is an all-inclusive offense. It doesn't matter who pulled the trigger, right? Don't be part of it. Lay it out. Separate yourself. The only way that you can do that is be honest. Just want to go home. There's an opportunity for that. The only way I think that you can stay out of this thing is to help yourself out. And it starts with the truth. It's your decision. This is probably the most important moment of your life.
James was beginning to soften, clearly longing to go home. The police decided to capitalize on his vulnerable state.
Okay? All right. If you're not honest, there's nothing anyone can do for you.
They shared their theory with him. John had hired Jesus to kill his fiancée, and James had been the one driving the getaway car. The walls were closing in.
Wow, God, just give me a second. Oh, yes. I don't think this is your fault. I don't even think that you necessarily knew why you were driving him there. Did you know why you were driving him there? I don't think. I know the answers. You're not a killer. You're not a guy who plans murders. You're not a bad person. But good people say that they're sorry for the mistakes that they made. They make amends.
They were getting closer to the truth inch by inch. The evidence was mounting, and the pressure was on.
You're on the edge of the Grand Canyon, right? And what I'm going to ask you to do is take a leap of faith and to trust me. All right? You're my friend, right? I'm trying to be your friend. I'm the best friend you have in the whole freaking world.
Can you get your pen and paper?
So how does it kick off?
All right, when Jesus first mentioned anything about this, I disregarded it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was just blood stock. He shows up in the morning, and we get in the car and we go. The whole time, I'm still thinking he's... Even when he gets there.
Mm-hmm.
He gets out, he does his thing. I heard nothing.
Mm-hmm. And when he gets back in the car, what does he say to you?
Let's go. That's what I said, yeah, shot her.
You say how he did it, or?
He just shot her. Right in the head.
After 9 hours of relentless interrogation, James finally cracked, confessing to his involvement and providing the police with crucial additional details.
Right, but it's pretty obvious that John ordered it.
Yeah.
Okay. Did Jesus ever say how much John paid him for it?
He was boasting about something about 15 grand.
Were they threatening and all, or just shut up, or were they saying, man, don't talk or else?
I got that vibe from Jesus.
What's he do with you?
He got rid of it.
Where?
At the gas station up the street. Put me in some cuff and let's get in the car and I'll take... I don't know the street, but I can take you that way.
The police listened carefully, processing his confession before taking him with them, knowing they were one step closer to solving the case.
Okay.
What was it, in a container or something? It was in what? Black trash bag?
With James's help, the police discovered a pair of shoes and a hoodie that Jesus had discarded, further adding to the evidence against him and solidifying their case. With James's confession in hand, the police took John into custody as well. But the final piece was yet to fall into place. They needed John's confession.
You know James Valeda, right?
Not with his, yes.
Okay, and you know Mr. Trevino there, right?
Yes, with him, I know him several years.
Well, let me cut to the chase a little bit. Jesus is a dumbass, all right? At the end of the day, you shouldn't hire a dumbass to do a job because he's going to screw it up, all right? And if he doesn't screw it up, he's going to talk about it.
I didn't hire the dumbass. That's my problem.
Do what?
I did not hire the
Come
dumbass.
on.
I did not pay him any money. That's my problem. I did not want Laura killed. I tried to get married with her for at least 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I loved her. I still love her.
There's not a question of if you did this or you didn't do that. I already know the answer to it. I already know that you hired him. You know this chick? She said that Jesus told her that you were going to pay Jesus $9,000 for killing your wife because you didn't want to get married and you wanted custody of the children. And at this point, you're looking at a long time in prison or the death penalty. But this country is very interesting in that if people show remorse and they tell the truth, things tend to go better for them. I say this. I'm sorry.
Oh, I am sorry that
my wife was killed. I cried so many times. I mean, you're telling me that, basically admitting that I hired him to do the murder. That's what you're telling me.
Am I telling you to admit that? No, I already know that you did that. I'm giving you an opportunity to tell the truth.
I need to talk to the attorney.
John refused to break and confess. With the evidence in James's confession against him, he's charged with murder and his trial begins. John Macris's role in Laura Grillo's murder was clear. He was driven by personal and financial motives. He wanted out of the relationship without facing legal or financial fallout, including child support. The investigation revealed a history of tension, with Laura considering leaving before their engagement, proving their relationship was unstable. Instead of resolving it legally, John took a darker route. John Macris never confessed to the crime, but James made a crucial choice and testified against John and Jesus. His testimony linked them to Laura's murder, sealing their fate in court.
When Ranger Holland interviewed James, he was able to get his cooperation to the point that James agreed to testify against the other two defendants, which was very positive for our investigation.
The final decision came down hard on the two men. John Macris and Emmanuel Jesus Trevino were both convicted of the capital murder of Laura Grillo. They were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on February 27, 2019. James Valleda, although complicit in the crime, cooperated with authorities and was given a reduced sentence. He pled guilty to murder charges and was sentenced to 25 years in prison with a chance of early parole. The case was finally closed, but the haunting details of betrayal and greed lingered. Laura's family, while devastated by the loss, found some measure of justice in the convictions of those responsible for her death. Laura Grillo's tragic death left an irreplaceable void in the hearts of those who knew and loved her. Her family, friends, and the community she'd been part of will forever carry the weight of her loss.
They took a lot away from a lot of people. They took a mother, a friend, a daughter. I'm just really glad that this case got solved and that they worked so hard for her, because anybody's worth it, but, Laura was worth it.
They had been planning this murder for months, and they believed that they had a plan that was going to work. Luckily, in this case, we got justice for Laura Grillo.
She was someone whose kindness, warmth, and love touched everyone around her. The cruel and senseless end to her life had left so many struggling to come to terms with the pain of not being able to see her smile again, hear her laugh, or feel her comforting presence. In the aftermath of this unimaginable tragedy, those who loved her will find strength in remembering the good times they shared and the beautiful memories they created with her.